Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Country Living Homestead. Well, it's an absolutely beautiful day again today in New York. It's probably 30-35 degrees outside anyway. Most of our snow is gone. And although we're really enjoying this wonderful weather that we're having, it is kind of wreaking havoc on some of our systems and on the way that we would normally be caring for our chickens in the wintertime. So, for starters, the deep litter method. It usually works great using the deep litter method here in New York. Normally, in the winter, all of this bedding that you see down here would all be frozen, and we would just be adding fresh straw. Almost lost a chicken there. We would be adding fresh straw on top of that. And as the birds would continue to soil the old bedding, we would continue to pile on fresh bedding. But as you can see this year, this is not frozen at all. So, the deep litter method is not going to work for us at the moment. Will it freeze back up in a couple of weeks? We're not sure yet. We're hoping that's the case. But for now, what I'm going to need to do is take all of this bedding, completely remove it from the coop, and add all fresh bedding. This is a little bit more work considering it has built up a little bit due to the fact that we were having colder temperatures earlier in the winter. But, you know, that's just part of being on a homestead. You can't always do the same things every year. You have to be able to look at the weather, look at your animals, and adjust course. This is definitely getting smelly in here, and that is not good for the chickens. You don't want your coop to smell like ammonia or anything like that. So before that happens, we're gonna go ahead, get this all out of here, and put fresh in. So the first thing I'm going to do is shoo all the chickens out to the run. Go on, girls. That will allow me to close the pop door so that way they're not in the way while I'm doing that. For the most part, we have everything scraped out of here. This doesn't need to rise to the level of like a spring cleaning on the coop. We're just trying to get that old nasty stuff out and replace it with fresh. This is all the bedding that we took out of the coop. So quite a good little bit had built up in there. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put some fresh straw down. We've got this coop all cleaned out and done. Let's let the chickens back in and see what they think. Well, I think they approve. So, to clarify, we use a modified version of the deep litter method in our coop. Since our coop does not have a dirt floor, we don't use the deep litter method with an end goal of composting the material as our chickens are on it. Our chicken bedding here in the north, it tends to freeze over the winter. So we use that deep litter method to be able to just continue to put new litter on the old throughout the winter months. Then come spring, when everything thaws out, we do a really big clean out of the entire coop. So we don't use the deep litter method here at all during the spring or the summer months, only in the winter, and really kind of out of necessity because it freezes on during a normal winter. So there's really no way to get it out of the coops. So we find that modified version of the deep litter method works really well for us. Now, if you have a dirt floor in your coop, then you can use it as a method to actually compost those materials. As your chickens are building up that litter, it should start composting down. My chickens are going crazy today, but yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. That is the most ideal way to use it, is if your floor is dirt in your coop, but in this case it's not. We also, on top of the wood of our floor, we put linoleum down in here, just so that way it would protect our floors a little bit more and keep them from getting wet and rotting. So we do have that extra layer of linoleum between our litter and our coop floor. Let's see if the breasts laid any eggs today. 2. All right, it looks like just 2 eggs today, but I've got to say, these birds have been laying right through the winter, and they have been a pretty respectable egg layer considering they're actually a meat bird. So we usually get some eggs every day, usually 2 to 3. All right, and as you can see, this half of the duck pen is also a mucky, muddy mess. Normally this would be frozen over, but since it's not, I'm going to spread some fresh hay around in here and give the ducks something clean to stand on, and hopefully give them a little bit more traction in here because it is getting a little bit slick. All right, we've got some straw laid out here for the ducks. This area was getting pretty smelly, and typically when you have that issue, if you add a carbon-rich material like straw, that will usually tamp that odor down, and it has definitely helped here. Their little hut over there is packed full of straw. Not that they really need it to stay warm right now, but just to give them some comfort. And they're pretty thrilled about having this new straw to kick around in and poke their beaks into. And you know, the whole moral of this video is really, just because something has always worked on your homestead in the past doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work the same every year. So it's best to keep your eye on your conditions around your homestead. Be out there every day, a couple times a day if you can. Keep an eye on your animals and make adjustments as needed, because with a homestead, things always seem to be changing, whether it be weather conditions or different, animals, more animals. So it's definitely something you want to keep your eye on and make any adjustments that you need. And now that we have all of this chicken clean out, we're actually going to go ahead, get the tractor over here, load it up, and dump it right on the garden. Since it's only January, we're hoping that it will have enough time to break down before we plant at typically the end of April, early May. So last year we did the same thing and it worked phenomenally. We had some amazing success with our winter squash. And really that's the only area that we were able to cover with the garden last year with the chicken clean out, because that was all we had. But this year we were able to put some in the potato area. This will probably be going where we're going to be planting some cabbages. So that should do really well for our garden. Thanks so much for stopping by the homestead. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe.